APNvideo.com is on the air, and we're coming to you from the winter home of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, Tempe Diablo Stadium for the 2021 Msbl World Series as the Kansas City Athletics are on the air taking on the Southern Cal Fire. I'm Jeff Lowery, APN Video Sports. So glad to have you with us on a sunsplash late afternoon. And the very talented team, Mike Griffin there, you saw in pregame. The A's come in here with a record of 1 win and 1 loss, and they are hoping that this pivotal game, as they're led by that man, Jerry Weaver, the manager of the team, will put themselves in a playoff position. Get a look at the two managers here today. Jerry Weaver on the left for the Kansas City Athletics, and on the right for the SoCal Fire is Rich Cerny as they exchange lineups here. We're moments away from the first pitch of the 2021 Men's Senior Baseball League's World Series. We're in the 65 Cactus Division. So we take a look at the starting pitcher here tonight, or this late afternoon, Ron Willis. And, of course, it wouldn't be a 2021 MSBL World Series game without a delay, and we are delayed almost a half hour. 4:25 will be the first pitch, and it'll be Tim McGivern to start things off, and the first pitch way outside ball one, and we are underway. The KC Athletics with a victory 5-2 in Game 1 of round-robin play, a 5-2 victory over the Cal Vets, but then lost 13-8 to the Las Vegas Moondogs. The 1-0 pitch is low and away, and it's 2-0. They have scored 13. They have given up 15. On the other side, the Fire 0-2 with 12-6 losses to the Saints and a 19-3 loss. They have been outscored 31-9 through their first 2 games. We're in the 65 and over Cactus Division, 34th annual MSBL World Series. And Willis gets the 3-0 pitch over for a called strike, and it's 3-1 on leadoff hitter Tim McGivern. Greg Best and Mark Adams will follow. Well, the shadows are in full effect here at Diablo Stadium, as this one's looped foul and out of play as the outfield has come in and playing very shallow, and we'll have another 3-2 pitch coming up here to Tim. Well, he talked about the wind picking up a little bit this afternoon. That's outside ball 4, and a good start for the Kansas City Athletics. That'll bring up second place hitter Greg Best, and the runner is going, and the throwdown will not be in time. In fact, the ball was dropped by the catcher, so there was no throw and a stolen base for McGivern. So the A's have the first runner in scoring position at second base. And a lot of people don't realize the Kansas City Athletics, that was the residents for, I want to say maybe 13 years or 15 years. The Oakland A's came from Kansas City. They were the Kansas City Athletics. And a lot of people forget about that. Of course, they were the Philadelphia A's before that under Connie Mack, who had the longest tenure of any manager in baseball history, 50 years. And as you would assume, he was the winning. I think he's still the winningest coach and the losingest coach. Well, Ron Willis really struggling here to start things. 2 balls and 2 strikes, though. He's got a chance to get Greg Best out with Mark Adams on deck. We're in the top of the first inning as the Athletics bat here, looking to draw first blood against Willis, and he's not even close. 3-2. McGivern takes his lead, and the pitch is swung on, line drive, base hit in the right field. Here comes the runner. Well, they're going to throw to first, and that's going to be tardy, and they will be on the corners. So the A's are off and running with a walk, a single, first and third occupied, and Mark Adams coming up.
Number 10, Mark Adams.
So let's see what Mark can do, the third place hitter in the lineup here, and he takes inside a ball, and there goes the runner, and that'll be a defensive indifference. 1 ball and no strikes. That's outside, 2-0. The 2-0 pitch, way inside, 3 balls and no strikes to Adams. A pitch away from loading the bases here for the Athletics. And the next offering on this breezy afternoon is low ball 4, and the bases are loaded. Now the cleanup hitter, Bob Bulgatz. Bulgatz, and he takes his first pitch and a called strike. Defensively behind Willis, Huey at first, Giambroni is at second base, Hal Mon, the shortstop, with Whitehill at third base. 1 ball and 1 strike on Bulgatz, the cleanup hitter. Bases loaded, nobody out. The rest of the SoCal Fire defense, Lyricos in left, Chasson in center, and he is going to field this ground base hit center field. 1 run is in. Here comes the second run home, and just like that, the A's lead it 2-0. Bulgatz with a 2-run single up the middle. Runners will be at first and second. Still nobody out here in the top of the first inning.
Number 14 was in.
Well, they appealed over it to third, and it looked like the base umpire said out. But I really couldn't tell. It wasn't a demonstrative out call. But I don't think they ruled in favor of the SoCal Fire, the Southern California Fire. Les Gann, the batter. And he takes 3-0, and Ron Willis having a very difficult time here in the early stages finding home plate. He's 3-0 again, and Gann probably will take all the way, and he does, and that's in there for a called strike. 3 balls and 1 strike, nobody out. You got runners at first and second. 2 runs have scored in this pivotal game for both these teams. Game 3 of pool play, and that's outside ball 4, and that is the 3rd walk of the inning. Bases are loaded again, and I believe the day may very well be over for Ron Willis. His catcher is out there, and Joe Fiorito, and the manager, Rich Cerny. And I think they may be bringing in the first baseman here in Huey. So Mike Huey will take over for Ron Willis, who faced 5 batters here in the top of the first inning, walked 3, 2 hits, 2 runs, and the bases loaded are still his responsibility. As Ron Robinson takes over at first base for the Southern Cal Fire. Now the 6th place hitter is Bob Miscannon. Bases loaded, nobody out, and the first pitch is hammered out into left center field. That's going to be an RBI hit. 1 run is going to score. They're going to wave around the 2nd run. Here comes the runner to third. He's going to be in, and it's a 2-run single for Bob Miscannon, and the Athletics lead it 4-0. So good base running by Les Gann as he gets to third. Miscannon with the 2nd 2-run single of the inning for the Athletics, and now Dan Hecker. Here's the pitch, and it is just inside ball 1. New pitcher, Mike Huey. The runner at third, Les Gann, still his responsibility. And this one's going to drive in another run and drop for a base hit. Here comes the runner to the plate, and it's 5-0 A's here in the top of the first inning on an RBI hit by Dan Hecker. I'm sure Ron Willis doesn't really want us to do this, but you can now close the book out on him. He faced 5 batters, gave up 2 hits, 3 walks, 5 runs, all earned. So Dan Hecker with an RBI hit, 3 RBI hits for the A's, and still nobody out here in the top of the first inning, and Tom Daly batting with manager Jerry Weaver on deck. So a great start for the Athletics. On a breezy late afternoon here in Tempe, Arizona at Diablo Stadium. And this one is popped up, the catcher, and he's, well, a good effort, but kind of got tangled up with the umpire a little bit, or he probably would have caught that ball. So a good effort by the Fire's starting catcher, Joe Fiorito. And it's 3 balls and 1 strike, and 1 pitch away from loading the bases for the 3rd time here in the top of the first inning. Popped him up, and now the pitcher. He's going to call for it, and he will make a basket catch. So a fine play there by new pitcher Mike Huey, who moved over from first base where he started the game. Now the manager of the Kansas City Athletics, Jerry Weaver, batting for the first time. Runners at first and third with one out. 5 runs in for the Athletics. I'd like to thank Jerry for setting up today's broadcast. His team comes in here with a record of 1 win, 1 loss. And he rifles one back up the middle, and that's another RBI hit. Quick throw to second, and they're going to say not in time. So Jerry Weaver drives in a run on a base hit to center field, the 4th RBI hit of the inning for the A's. And that will make it a 6-0 lead for the Kansas City Athletics. That'll bring up Mike Griffin. Wanted to shout out a special hello to his wife, Susan. And he comes up there with 2 men on, first and second occupied, and only 1 man out here in the top of the first inning. There was a rumor prior to the game that Griffin was actually traded to the SoCal Fire for 3 players to be named later. And it found out that it was all pool players, so for next year, as he rifles one past the left fielder, and that's going to be a base hit. 1 run is going to score to make it 7-0. Here comes the runner to third, and the throw is not in time. Griffin picks up an RBI single here in the first. It's 7-0 Kansas City on the 5th RBI hit for the Athletics. Here's a looper out into right field, and that's going to drop in. Can they get the out at first? Not in time, and another run will score as Griffin comes in. It's 8-0 Kansas City. So an RBI hit for Bartolota. And now the final hitter in the order for the Kansas City Athletics is Dave Chilton. 6 RBI hits in the inning. And here's a line shot out in the left field, and that's going to drop in for another base hit. 8th hit of the ball game now for Kansas City, and we go back to the top of the order, and Tim McGivern, Tim walked, stole second, and came in on a 2-run single by the cleanup hitter Bulgatz. Check that, make it 9-0 is the score here in the top of the first inning. And a shot out into right field, and this ball will be caught. Nice play in right field by Gardner. Runners will stay at first and second. Best had a base hit his first time up earlier in this first inning, and he came around and scored on the Bulgatz 2-run single. Kansas City leads it by a score of 9-0. We're in the top of the first inning. .425 was our first pitch at 90 degrees here in Tempe, Arizona on a warm day. Tomorrow it is supposed to get down into the upper 70s. And this one scoops by the catcher, and both runners will move up second and third with Greg Best at the plate. So 9 runs on 8 hits for Kansas City. 2 out here in the top of the first inning. Wind the pitch. In the air, back a second, and dropping in for a hit. It gets by the right fielder. 1 run is going to score. 2 runs are going to score. And Best has a 2-for-2 day, and that makes it 11-0 Athletics. Now Mark Adams. So the 2-run single by Greg Best is the 3rd 2-run RBI hit of the inning for the Athletics, and they lead 11-0 here in the top of the first inning. Athletics just tied a record for most runs scored in an inning in the first inning on APN broadcast only. Two 2-1. The league record for most runs in an inning in the first inning is, well, you got to go all the way back to 1999. The Indianapolis Clowns scored 17 runs. Here's a shot out in the center field, hit well, and tracked down nicely by the center fielder, and Chasen will take care of business. But not before 11 runs come across after a half an inning of play. Kansas City leads at 11-0. Getting a look at the right-hander, the starter for the Kansas City Athletics, and Mark Adams, and he has been staked to an 11-run lead. And he'll be facing Fiorito, Jamroz, and Chasen to start things off here for the Fire. Well, it's a beautiful but warm day, 90 degrees here in Tempe, Arizona, and Fiorito will be the first batter up, and he'll take a strike. And already the arguing with the umpire as he fouls that one back. I don't know what he's doing. So Adams ahead in the count. No balls and 2 strikes on Fiorito. And a chopping ball that's going to ride up along the first base line. They'll tag the runner, and that's out number 1. Nice play by Mark Adams. Second place hitter for the Fire, Rick Jamroz. Bats with nobody on, with 1 man out. We're in the bottom half of the first inning, and the first pitch is slapped on the ground, and that one's going to trickle foul first base side. Bull Gatz makes the play down there at first base. He had a 2-run single in the 11-run top of the first inning. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2 on second place hitter Jamroz. Now Adams. And a smash base hit in the right center field, and it's going to find the gap. Here comes Jamroz to second. He's got pretty good wheels. He's heading for 2, and he is heading for third. Here he comes. And there'll be no throw, and Jamroz with a long triple to right center field. And a great piece of hitting. A pitch was high and away, and he went with it. And he's got a 3-base hit here with 1 out in the bottom of the first. So a chance for the Fire to get back one of the 11 they gave up in the top of the first inning. First pitch is high to Chasen. So Jamroz at third with the first hit of the ballgame for Southern California. Adams delivers, and it's low and away, 2-0. Just inside, and it's 3-0. Adams needs a strike, and he's going to get it right down the middle, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Runner at third, 1 out, home half of the first inning. And the 3-1 to Chasen is outside, ball 4. Oh my goodness, you got to be kidding me. Well, that ball was in the other batter's box. Well, I agree with getting the game along, but maybe should have started the game a little earlier than 4:25. Here's a ground ball down to third, and a nice throw across the infield. Good job by Tim down at the hot corner. 2 down here in the inning. That'll bring up Ted Lyricos. So 2 out here in the bottom half of the first inning. And the first pitch a called strike, 0-1. Good quality pitch, low and away for Adams. The Athletics in the field put up 11 runs in the top of the first inning and lead it 11-0. And did he go around on that one? No, he did not, and the count is even at 1-1. Adams sights the sign, he delivers. And strike 2 called on another borderline pitch. So Lyricos trying to extend the inning for John Gardner. We're in the bottom of the first inning, and they trail by A touchdown, a two-pointer, and a field goal. Here's the pitch, and it's slapped to the left side, knocked down by the third baseman. He's up with it. He throws and got him. What a job. That may very well be our Marucci big play of the day, and that'll retire the side. They leave one after one. 11-0 Athletics at the 34th Annual MSBL World Series. All right, back here at Tempe Diablo Stadium, and we got a hip batsman on the very first pitch. Our apologies for getting in here a little late. Chopping ball and into left field, base hit number 10, unless they get the fielder's choice at second, and they do not. So Les Gann, a walk, a run scored in that 11-run first, a single here. Bulgatz, who got hit by a pitch to lead off the inning. I guess one of the disadvantages of me doing games right here, I'm constantly being asked questions, and half of them are questions that information should be given out. And another shot out into left field, and this is another base hit, and they're loaded again. So the new pitcher on the mound here, the third pitcher already used by the Fire, is going to be Tucson native Mark Sewell. Dan Hecker had a RBI single last inning. First pitch to him with the bases loaded, and a called strike. It's 0-1. Seven RBI at bats in that 11-run inning. They got 9 hits. And now the Kansas City A's hit total has matched their run total. 11 runs, 11 hits. And a chopping ball that is going to be a foul ball. Jess Whitehill made a nice decision there to let that ball roll foul. So Mark Sewell on the mound, the left-hander, the third pitcher already used by the Fire. And here's another base hit in the right field. Unless they got the play at first, they do, but at least it drives in the run. And the Athletics lead it 12-0 on an RBI fielder's choice that goes 9-3, and that's Robinson. Here's Tom Daly. He pops this one up, Robinson, and it's going to drop in on the infield, and all hands are safe. And a quick throw back to second, not in time. Well, now Jerry Weaver batting for the second time, the manager of the Kansas City Athletics. 12-0 here in the top of the second inning, and he lines one, a clean single into right field. Assuming they don't get the force out at the base, all hands are going to be safe. The bases remain loaded. Another run is in. Weaver has an RBI, and it's 13-0 Kansas City. That's going to bring up Mike Griffin. RBI single, run scored in the 11-run inning, and here's a line drive that's going to be by the the center fielder. As that ball goes to the Bud Light sign, 1 run is going to score, 2 runs are going to score, 3 runs are going to come in, and Griffin with 4 RBIs on the day, and the lead has been extended to 16-0. A 3-run double by Griffin, and he really gave that ball a ride. Jeff had an RBI single and a run scored in that 11-run first. 5 runs have come across here in the second. And the Kansas City A's are really pouring it on at 16-0. It's a 2-possession lead for Kansas City. And here's a high chopper that's cut off by the third baseman. Makes a nice play. High throw, but it was corralled nicely by Robinson at first base. 2 down. So a nice play down at the hot corner by Jess. Dave Chilton batting for the second time. He had a base hit and a run scored in the first. He bats here in the top of the second inning. 16-0 Kansas City. And a line drive. This is another base hit. That's going to find the gap. Here comes Griffin around third as he chugs into home plate. 17-0. And Dave Chilton, the final hitter in the batting order, has just doubled in a run.
Number 7, Msbl.
17 runs on 15 hits. Mick Blevins batting for the first time, added to the bottom of the order, and a ground ball cut off by third, and a nice play by Jess to throw him out to retire the side, but they get 6 more runs. We go to the home half of the second inning, 17-0 Kansas City. John Gardner to start things off for SoCal. He's bunting third base side, picked up there. Nope, it's going to probably go as an infield hit. That would have been a very difficult play for the third baseman, who's already made our Marucci big play of the day, and McGivern. So a leadoff hit for Gardner and the second hit of the day for the SoCal Fire. We're in the bottom of the second inning. The hit parade continues here as the Kansas City Athletics lead it by a score of 17-0. And Mark Adams in his second inning of work on the mound and hoping to go very deep into this game. But, well, with the amount of time it has taken the first two top of the first and second innings, I don't know if we'll even see a ninth inning in this game with the 3-hour time limit. Mike Huey, and he takes 2 balls and no strikes. Runner at first base, bottom half of the second inning. Huey came in to pitch in that first inning and ended up giving up 6 runs. Ground ball to the shortstop, could be 2. They'll go second 1, and the throw on to first, and that's going to pull the first baseman off the bag. Oh, they called him safe. They called him safe, and that wasn't even close. So a nice job by Dave Chilton, and a nice throw on to, well, actually the throw did pull the first baseman off the bag. The umpires, I think, just trying to let this game kind of move along a little bit. There's 2 down, and here is Jay Ciambroni. Or Ciambroni, excuse me. Jay Ciambroni. Now, they've got several. In fact, they've got 6 shared positions in their lineup, and that's something new the MSBL has done this year, as this one is slapped to Chilton, and he'll go the long way to first and get his man. Nice stretch over there to retire the side by Bulgatz, and at the end of 2, it is all Kansas City A's. They lead it by a score of 17-0. We'll have more from the 34th Annual Men's Senior Baseball League's World Series right after this. Tim McGivern, who has done a sensational job not only in the field but at the plate. He has walked and scored and flied to right. So he'll come to the plate here in the top of the third inning. And a very sizable lead for Kansas City and a called strike. And the new pitcher, the 4th pitcher already used, Joe Fiorito, started the game behind home plate. And comes back with a curve and misses 1-1. That is swung on and missed. And the sinker got Tim to swing over that pitch, and he is down in the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Top of the order for the Athletics. Dave Hall now doing the catching for the Southern California Fire. And this one is just foul, first base side. Now the 2-2 pitch. And it's slapped to the right side where the second baseman's got it. He'll gobble it up and throw on to first base to Willis. 1 down. It's played by Dennis Rodriguez at second base. 1 down for the Kansas City Athletics. Now Best, batting for the 3rd time. He has singled twice. He has scored a run. He had a 2-run single and a 6-run second inning for the Athletics. The 1-0 pitch. And that one's low. 2 balls, no strikes on Greg Best with starting pitcher Mark Adams on deck for Kansas City. The 2-0. And it's in the dirt. 3 balls and no strikes. The right-hander winds, kicks, and fires, and this one is a called strike on the outside corner. 3-1 on Best. The right-hander winds and delivers, and he lost him ball 4. So Greg Best has been on base all 3 times he's been to the plate here today at Diablo Stadium. And now starting pitcher and third place hitter Mark Adams, a walk, a run scored in the first. He flied to center field later in that first inning on a sensational play by Chasen, who went a long ways to corral it. Top of the third inning, it's 17-0 Athletics. High chopper, here's the shortstop, and playing almost an artificial turf bounce. That was a very nice play by Hal Mon, and he had to corral that one. We haven't had a lot of rain. We had rain last month. We had rain over the summer, but this Tempe Diablo Stadium is almost like playing on artificial turf. Here's a shot, center field, and that's going to drop in for another base hit. Well, Chasen, I'll tell you, he may be one of the premier center fielders in this age group in the 65 Cactus. So a big day so far for Bob. He is 2 for 2 with a couple of RBI. And the batter will be Les Gann with 2 out and 2 on. Chopping ball down to third. It's knocked down there. He tried to tag the runner but did not have the ball, and all hands are going to be safe. And unfortunately, that'll be an error on the Fire third baseman. Bob Miskinen had a 2-run single back in the first inning. And a single and 2 runs scored. 2 for 2. Slap towards shortstop. And this time they'll go the short route and get the fielder's choice, and that'll retire the side. A first time in this game the Athletics fail to score, but they lead 17-0 as we go to the home half of inning number 3. It's the 34th annual MSBL World Series. Tony Quillisi will start things off here for the Southern Cal Fire as they trail by 17. Yes, that's not a misprint on your program, as the first pitch is outside, ball 1. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't remember calling a game as this one is bounced to the right side and knocked down there, and the throw into first in time by Greg Best over to Bob Bulgatz. Easy for me to say. I don't think I've ever had a 17-0 game after an inning and a half. I could be wrong. So 1 out here in the inning. Quillisi out 4-3, and here's Hal Mon. Third inning of work for the starting pitcher, Mark Adams. He delivers a breaking pitch inside, 1 ball and no strikes. He has given up 2 hits and no runs through 2 1/3 inning. Jeff Bartolotta is doing the catching for the Kansas City Athletics here in the bottom half of the 3rd inning, and Mark Adams really got into the kitchen of that hitter, and a nice play there by Bob taking it to the bag, and there is quickly 2 down here in the 3rd inning. Well, definitely one of the bright spots for the SoCal Fire in this game has been Jess Whitehill. Made some nice plays down at the hot corner. He bats with nobody on and 2 out here in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Fastball up and in. 1 ball and no strikes on Whitehill, with manager Rick Cerny on deck for the Fire. That's inside, and it's 2-0. Adams has been able to get actually behind several hitters early in this game and fight back and get the out. Or in one case, Jamrock's line drive triple back in the first inning. 2 balls and 1 strike to Jess Whitehill. And a chopper back to the mound. Adams will play it on the big hop and will throw on to first. And at the end of 3, It's the Kansas City Athletics leading at 17-0. This is APNvideo.com. Well, at least we got rid of the shadows that were on the field as we go to the top of the fourth inning. Jeff Lowery back here from Tempe Diablo Stadium, and Dan Hecker will be the first batter. Second inning of work for Fiorito, the fourth pitcher used here by the Fire. 17-0. A's lead it. They got 11 runs in the first, 6 in the second. Hecker has had 2 RBI at bats, a single, a run scored in the first, and then actually, well, he kind of had a single. He had a base hit out in, would have been a base hit to right field, but the right fielder threw him out. Sometimes you see that in this division, and so 2 productive at-bats. I mean, you know, most of the time you hit a ball like he did the second time, that's an automatic base hit, but he hit it right at the right fielder who was playing shallow. And a chopping ball that's going to be fielded by the third baseman, and the long throw across in time for out number 1. Tony Quillisi on a nice play, charging in, and a perfect throw to first base for 1 down. Both third basemen have been very busy in this game. 1 out, nobody on for Tom Daly. Daly had a single and a run scored his last time up back in the second inning. We're in the top of the fourth. 1 out, nobody on. Daly popped out to the pitcher back in the first inning, 1 for 2, and he lines one up the middle. This is going to be played by the second baseman. He will throw on to first, and they're going to say he was safe. Safe at first base. So an infield hit marks the 16th hit of the ball game for the Kansas City Athletics. And now the batter, the manager, batting for the third time is Jerry Weaver, and he swings and lifts one in the air, back a second, and dropping in. They will not make a play at second, and Jerry has 3 for 3 on his ledger here today, including 2 runs and 2 RBIs. Well, a good piece of hitting by Jerry. He just went with the pitch and sent it right back up the middle, and now runners are at first and second with 1 out. Griffin crushed one his last time up. He batted with the bases loaded, and he drove in 3. He is 2 for 2, 2 runs, 4 RBIs. And he takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Victus bats directly behind us. You could probably hear all the bats being shuffled around by some of the clients. Here's a high fly ball, and this one is over the head of the shortstop. Could not make a play. And it looks like the Athletics are going to go station to station. Now the catcher for the Kansas City Athletics is Jeff Bartolotta. RBI single, run scored in that 11-run first. Grounded out 5-3 his last time up. Top of the fourth inning, bases loaded, 1 out, and the pitch to Jeff is bounced to the first baseman, and it's going to get by and go out into right field. 1 run is going to score, and again, it looks like Kansas City is going to go station to station. Bases loaded, RBI hit for Jeff, and it's 18-0. Now the shortstop, Dave Chilton. Again, the bases are loaded with 1 out. A run is in. Second RBI of the day for Jeff Bartolotta. Second inning of work for Joe Fiorito, the fourth pitcher used here today by Southern Cal. And a breaking pitch, and that's going to get away from the catcher. Now, look at Joe. I mean, the guy is down 19-0, and he is hustling. He ran all the way back to get the wild pitch. Tip of a cap right there, and a well-deserved pat on the back from number 15. Chilton had an RBI double last time up, and a single and a run scored back in the 11-run first. So 2 for 2, a run scored, RBI, and you can almost say that for a majority of this Kansas City Knights team. And a chopping ball that could be trouble. Picked off by the third baseman. Here's the long throw, and not in time. And excellent speed by Dave Chilton. Beats it out, the 20th hit of the day. And they're loaded again. Blevins batting again. Second time. He was added to the bottom of the order. Last time round for the Kansas City Athletics. Still one out, bases loaded, 2 runs in, and a ball hit back to the mound. They'll get one at the plate, and the throw on to first is a one-hop throw that's corralled by Robinson. It's a 1-2-3 double play. The side is retired. 2 runs in the inning. They leave a couple, and we go to the bottom of the 4th. 19-0 Kansas City. Rich Cerny will lead things off as we go to the bottom half of inning number 4 and a 19-0 lead for the Kansas City Athletics. And Rich, of course, the manager of the Fire. Mike Griffin will take over for Mark Adams and would undoubtedly be the winning pitcher in this game because Adams did not go the required 5 innings for the win. And he will face Rich Cerny here. We talked about the Kansas City Athletics, the Major League Kansas City Athletics, had moved from Philadelphia after the Philadelphia A's had played there for many, many decades under Connie Mack. They became the Kansas City Athletics, or A's, in 1955, and they stayed there for 13 seasons. And, of course, I mean, I don't know how many of the people out here in the playing field or up here on the concourse got to see some of those teams play. That was a long time ago. There was a time where, I mean, they were actually accused of being the New York Yankees farm system. And one of the biggest names in baseball history, as this one has popped up, Griffin giving chase and can't make the basket catch. Nice try. 2 balls, 2 strikes on the manager of the SoCal Fire. But the man, Roger Maris, he started his career in Kansas City and really wasn't a spectacular player. Of course, Roger owned the single-season home run record for many years, as that one is inside, 3 balls, 2 strikes. But many accused the Kansas City A's at that point of being like a Yankee pipeline for talent. Roger Maris went on to hit 61 home runs, an MVP, and multiple championships, as this one's grounded to short. Nice pick up there. He's got plenty of time, and he throws him out at first base, Dave Chilton. So the slick fielding shortstop with another assist. That's going to bring up the number 1 spot in the Southern California Fire lineup in Joe Fiorito. First inning of work for Mike Griffin, and the strike called. Good pitch, good fastball, good velocity. No balls and 1 strike on Joe Fiorito. In the air, the shortstop, Dave's under it, and he'll make the one-handed grab, and that's out number 2. And we got a news flash up here in the press box that Mike Griffin has actually been traded to the Southern California Fire for 3 to be determined pool players in the 2022 draft. First pitch is behind the hitter, and after that last pitch, they may want to reconsider that trade. 1 ball and no strikes as Rick Jamroz, who, I mean, he crushed one off Mark Adams back in the first inning and legged out a triple, a line shot to right center field. It's 19-0. And it's popped up, and another opportunity for the shortstop long run, and he can't make the basket catch. That was a good effort. Had too far to go to come up with that play, and it's going to be an infield hit. Now a guy that can really get after it in center field, Rick Chasen. First pitch to him, and it's low and outside, ball 1. I'm sorry, Greg Chasen at the plate. Third place hitter in the lineup for the Fire. Runner at first, 2 out. And it's inside 2-0 on Greg Chasen, the center fielder who made a really outstanding play on Mark Adams' fly ball back in the first inning. McGivern is now doing the catching for the Kansas City A's. And Griffin gets a strike called. 2-1 is the count as we play here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. So the original Kansas City A's, coming from Philadelphia, spent 13 years and then went to Oakland. A lot of people forget that Reggie Jackson started in Kansas City. Nice play by Dave. Another nice play over there at first base by Best, and that'll retire the side. We're heading to the fourth from Tempe Diablo Stadium, and the Athletics lead 19-0. They have already outscored the Kansas City Chiefs from Sunday. I think they doubled them up here tonight. We'll be back. Tim McGivern will start things off here, and a big day for this guy. And it's been a big day for the Kansas City Knights. They will be 2-1 by way of record after this one. And a first pitch called strike as Fiorita out there for inning number 3. And here's a line smash that's going to be foul up against the railing of the third base dugout, and it's 0-2. His batting average here today is probably better than 500. The Kansas City Royals only hit 249 as a team. Ground ball shortstop and a nice one-hop throw, but the first baseman can't handle it, and that's going to be an infield hit.
PC number 1, Greg Best.
Second time on base for Tim. Greg Best is 2 for 2. Fly ball left, and nice running play. Here comes a throw in, and the runner will get back into first base safely. And that's the first time that Greg has been retired this afternoon. Mark Adams for the fourth time. He has walked, flied out, hit into a fielder's choice. Starting pitcher today, 3 shutout innings. Did a nice job, but cannot win this game. And I can tell you right now, barring a miracle comeback, Mike Griffin's going to be the winning pitcher in this game. Bounce foul, just foul, as Adams looks for his first hit of this contest. Nice job of keeping that ball in front of him. Dave Hall doing the catching duties now. A ball and 2 strikes. That didn't look like a bad pitch at all. 2-2. There's a close-up look at Joe Fiorita. And the 2-2 pitch is lifted in the air to right field. The right fielder's got a beat on it, and he will make the catch. Nice job out there for out number 2 in the inning. John Gardner in right field hauls it in. And so Adams retired. He's 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. And here's Bulgatz. Swing and a miss. All he's done is singled in 2, hit by a pitch, another single, 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs. 19-0 Kansas City, home half, or top half of the 5th inning. And a ball that's chopped, and it's going to stay fair. Who wants it? It is the pitcher, and he hands it to the first baseman, and that'll retire the side. So a big 0 put up there by Joe Fiorito. And at the end of 4.5 innings of play, 19-0 Kansas City. Getting a look at Mike Griffin as we go to the bottom half of inning number 5. The Athletics got an 11-run spot in the top of the first inning. Mike Griffin will end up being the winning pitcher in this game. He'll be facing 4, 5, and 6, including leadoff hitter in the bottom of the 5th inning, Ted Lyricos. First pitch outside, ball 1. Lyricos was robbed on a tremendous play down at third base, and our Marucci play of the day. 2-0. Nope, that's a called strike. The strike zone has now been expanded dugout to dugout. So I guess if you're a hitter in this game, you might want to swing at just about everything. Bottom of the fifth inning, 19-0, Kansas City. That's foul, and it's 2-1 to Lyricos, the cleanup hitter for the Fire. Kansas City, not only the 11 runs in the top of the first inning, as that pitch is outside 2-2 is now the count. They got 6 more in the second and added 2 more in the fourth, and now lead 19-0. Griffin now in his second inning of work in relief, and here's a little looper to the second baseman trying to make a barehanded play, and the throw in time. He got him. I'll tell you what, you got to tip the cap of this Kansas City defense so far. I mean, we have seen tremendous play after play, and Greg Best with a nice job of coming in. He had a long ways to go. So with one out, John Gardner, the right fielder, will dig in. Up the middle, and that went right through the legs of Griffin and into center field, a base hit. So a one-out single gives Gardner a 2-for-2 day. He's at first base. First pitch to Willis, and the runner is going, and the throw to second is not going to be in time. Stolen base. That is the first stolen base of the day for the Southern Cal Fire, who bat here in the bottom of the fifth inning with a runner at second and one man out. And today's starting pitcher for the Fire takes a strike. It's 1-1. A look at Mike Griffin. And the pitch. The runner is going again, and now the throw down to third, and he's safe again. That is back-to-back steals for John Gardner. Trying to make something happen here. Down a couple of touchdowns and a field goal, and a 19-0 deficit. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And just outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes on Ron Willis. Willis versus Mike Griffin here in the bottom half of the fifth inning. That one is way inside, full count. The 3-2 pitch. Popped him up, and it's going to drop. Now it's going to hit the screen right behind home plate. Another 3-ball, 2-strike count. Runner at third and 1 out, and that's high and tight. Ball 4. First and third occupied. That'll bring up the right-handed hitting Ron Robinson, as we got a courtesy runner down there at first base. We were talking about the Kansas City A's. You know, the Athletics spent 13 seasons in the city of Kansas City before moving to Oakland. Roger Maris, and I mean, who would have ever known that Roger Maris was going to explode for 61 home runs? In fact, he won back-to-back Most Valuable Player awards. But in 1959, playing for the Kansas City A's, I mean, very modest numbers. 122 games, 433 at-bats, 16 homers, 72 RBIs, and a .273 batting average. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he was eating his Wheaties once he got to New York. Nowadays, you'd be accused of getting on the steroids. And it's just amazing what Maris, blossomed into, going from a 16-homer, 72 RBI season to that 61, eventually in 1961, 2 years later. 2 balls and 1 strike on Ron Robinson. And a chopper foul, and that'll make the count 2-2 on the first baseman. Grounded to shortstop. Oh, it went right through the legs of Dave Chilton, and that'll allow the run to score. And for the first time, the SoCal Fire is on the board, trailing 19-1. So credit Ron Robinson with an RBI. Runners are at first and second with 1 out, and the batter is going to be catcher Dave Hall. First pitch, and a called strike on the outside corner, 0-1. We're in the bottom half of inning number 5. Runner is going, and a little hit and run here. Normally, if you're down as many runs as this, well, it really doesn't matter. Normally, if you're down, you probably don't take those chances traditionally if it's a relatively close game. 19-1, Kansas City leads it, bottom of the 5th inning, and a swing and a miss, and down goes Hall. That is the first strikeout of the day for Griffin. And a gentleman that I've known for probably close to, if not more than 20 years. This is our, I don't know how many years we've been doing this. I think it's our 24th year, APN. We started officially in 1998. Yeah, that's 25 years. And Mark Sewell, I can remember many times filming this guy, usually with a Tucson-based team. But now he's playing with the SoCal Fire. He says he hasn't been playing too much because of the fear of the you-know-what. And so he walked in here with a big smile, and he's very happy to be here, and it was good to see him. Runners at first and second with 2 out. 1 ball and no strikes to Mark Sewell as he takes low, and there's the runner down to third, and the throw is waiting on him. How about that? But they get a run and get on the board for the first time, and a nice throw there by the catcher. And I'll tell you, Tim has had a big day in the field here for Kansas City. We go to the 6th. They lead 19-1. You're watching APM Video's coverage of the 34th Annual Men's Senior Baseball League's World Series. Scan will start things off. We go to the top of the 6th inning, and what a day it has been for the Kansas City Athletics. First pitch inside, ball 1. And what a day for Les Gann. Walk, single, reached on an error. He scored twice. And a 19-1 lead for Kansas City over SoCal, and he lines a clean single into left field. It gets by the left fielder, and here comes Les. He's on his horse, heading for 2, and he's got a leadoff double. He's going for third. Here he comes. Here comes the throw, and it's not going to be in time, and he's got a leadoff triple. Now Bob Miscannon. So Les Gann really gave that ball a ride, and he has found his way on base in each of the 4 plate appearances that he has had here today. That pitch is low and outside, ball 1. The 21st hit of the day for the Kansas City A's. Well, it's another inning of work for Fiorito. He is the 4th pitcher by the Fire, but he's been the one that has kind of calmed things down to some degree before Les Gann absolutely crushed one into the gap in left center field for a leadoff triple here in the top of the 6th. Miscannon, a 2-run single in the first. He had another single. He has scored 2 runs in the game. He's 2 for 3 as he takes high, and it's full count. This guy doesn't mess around. He gets the ball, he gets back onto the mound, and he is ready to go. The payoff pitch. And it's grounded to shortstop. This will be a play. They're coming home with it. It's not in time. So that will be a fielder's choice and a 3rd RBI for Miscannon. And now Kansas City leads it 20-0.
Number 41, Dan Hecker.
Now Dan Hecker, outside, ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes on Dan Hecker as he gets a cut on and a miss. Dan has had 2 RBI at bats. He had a base hit, RBI, and a run scored in the first, and then hit into a fielder's choice in which he drove in a run. Should have been a base hit, and he hits one softly down the first base line, but that's foul. And it's 2-2 as Joe came in a little tight on Dan Hecker. Dan looking for his 2nd hit of the day. He is 1 for 3 officially. And that is low, and it's 3-2. Joe didn't like that call, and he's letting the umpires know it. Now the payoff pitch. And it's slapped slowly to the shortstop. He will field. He will throw to second. And the throw on to first is in time, a double play. 6-4-3. And there's 2 down here in the top of the 6th inning. Now Tom Daly. This is not the golfer, Tom. Is that his name, Tom Daly? I don't know. I wanted to tell you, though, and staying in line with the Kansas City Athletics, the team that spent 13 seasons in the city of Kansas City. And, I'll be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot. If anything, I knew Roger Maris played for him and was traded to the Yankees. But maybe the best Kansas City Athletic of all time, as that one is a strike. That one gets away from the catcher. Nobody on base. 2 out here in the top of the 6th. A man named Bob Serve, I've heard of him, enjoyed the best season ever by a Kansas City Athletic. In 1958, he hit .304 with 38 home runs and a .592 slugging percentage. Swing and a miss. 2-2 is the count on Tom Daly. The 3-2 pitch. He struck him out swinging. Catcher will have to throw it on to first, and they complete the strikeout and end the inning. So a good inning for the Fire, and they're all smiles after shutting down this high-powered offense and limiting them to just 1 run. It's 20-1 Kansas City. Back with more from Tempe in just a moment. Back at Tempe Diablo Stadium, and Mark Sewell batting for the 2nd time in this game. Well, Mike Griffin has done a nice job. He's come in, picked up right where the starting pitcher started and ended. And Adams, and Sewell's going to be retired on a 4-3 ground out, 1 down. Mark Adams pitched the first 3 innings for the Athletics. And now Griffin delivers a strike on the first pitch to Dennis Rogers, batting for the first time. No balls and 1 strike to Rogers, and a chopping ball and a charging shortstop. Nice pickup by Dave, and the throw to first could not be scooped out. Might be an infield hit there. Gary Yeager will bat for the first time for the Fire. He's in that 11 position shared with manager Rick Cerna. And keeping with the Kansas City Athletics and some of the fun facts here today, they spent 13 seasons. They had an overall record, as this one's chopped foul, a winning percentage of .404. Their best season was 1966, where they went 74-86, and that was a .463 winning percentage. So they did not have much success in Kansas City. They had a beautiful ballpark, by the way, a modern ballpark that was built in the 50s, and kind of ironic that, the Kansas City Royals came in, a few years later and has been highly successful. They, after George Brett left, they had some down years, but they've had some of the best teams we've seen. That Kansas City Royals team, 76, 77, 78, playing the Yankees year in and year out in the American League Championship Series, and George Brett, Hal McRae, Frank White. Great pitching, Larry Gura, Dennis Leonard. And it was so good to see them win the World Series championship in 2015. Now 3-2. The payoff pitch with 1 out to Gary Yeager, batting for the first time, and that tails inside, ball 4, and they're on 1st and 2nd. So Joe Fiorito, he has had a good day, not necessarily at the plate. He's 0 for 2, but he is, I think, been without a doubt the most valuable player on this SoCal Fire team so far. Takes ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. outside a ball. It's easy really to overlook those Kansas City A's when you go back through the history of the Athletics. 13 years in the Midwest, and it didn't help that the A's were essentially run as another farm team for the Yankees. The A's new owner, Arnold Johnson, had owned Yankee Stadium as well as Yankees AAA Stadium in Kansas City. The franchise made several deals with the Yankees during the early part of his ownership, keeping the dynasty going in New York. Wind starting to pick up here at Tempe Diablo Stadium. That's inside, 3-1. Runners at first and second with one out, and now a fake. Boy, not a bad looking pitch right there, and that's ball 4, and Joe's heading down with a walk, and that will load the bases. That's going to bring up Jamroz, who had that big triple back in the first inning on a screaming line drive that he legged out back in inning number 1. The 1-0 pitch popped him up. I don't think anybody's going to get to this one. That one falls safely foul, and it's 1-1 strike on Rick Jamroz. The bases are loaded with Southern Cal Fire players. Rick has had a base hit in each of his 2 plate appearances, triple single. Griffin laboring a little bit here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And it's 3-1, a pitch away from forcing in a run. The 3-1 pitch. And a chopper fair, knocked down by the third baseman. He'll go second one. They'll throw it to first, and they turn the 5-4-3 double play. So the defense continues to be stellar here at Tempe Diablo Stadium. As we go to the top of the 7th inning, Kansas City leads by 19. Jerry Weaver will start things off, the manager, and he's had a very good day at the plate. He has had base hits in each of his first 3 at-bats. He has scored 3. He has driven in 2. He's had 2 RBI at-bats in this game. So we go to the top of the 7th as Kansas City leads it by a score of 20-1. Jeff Lowery, APNvideo.com. So glad you could join us. And here's a looper out into left field. He's got a 4-for-4 day at the plate. So Mike Griffin will come to the plate. Well, what a day for Jerry Weaver to line up a broadcast of their MSBL World Series game. He goes 4-for-4, and it might be his last at bat. Of course, we still have 1 hour left to go in the 3-hour time limit, so we could very well get this entire 9 innings in. So, pitch. And a squibber to first and under the glove, and this is going to be an infield hit. So Griffin is aboard. You got runners at first and second, and here comes Kansas City again. So Mike, a big day at the plate. Single, double, single. And he's got 4 runs batted in. He stands at first base, and the pitch to Bartolotta. And that's in there for a strike called. Here's a ground ball towards the shortstop, and he kicked it once, and the back flip, and he gets the fielder's choice. What a fine play there after initially bobbling the ball. Runners are at first and third with 1 out. That'll bring up the shortstop, Dave Chilton. Dave's had a fine day both defensively and at the plate. He comes to the plate with runners at first and third, 1 out, and a 20-1 lead for Kansas City. Dave going for a 4-for-4 day at the plate. Single, double, single. He has scored a run. He has driven in a run. 2 balls and no strikes to Dave Chilton. And this one is grounded foul. I'll try to talk over this loud guy that's standing behind me, and he hasn't realized that we're trying to do a broadcast here. Rito still out there. And he's done a fine job. I mean, since he's come in, he has given up just 3 runs in nearly 4 innings pitched. In fact, he came in the third, I should say nearly 5 innings pitched. That's a swing and a miss. And the count runs 3-2. Balls, 2 strikes. 1 out. Runners at first and third. The pitch and a chopper off the pitcher's mound. He'll be fielded by the third baseman, and his throw is going to be wide. It would have been an infield hit anyway. A run will score. That'll be an error on the third baseman, and it's now 21-1 in favor of Kansas City. Jerry Weaver from third base, the manager of Kansas City, and it's 21-1. Weaver has now scored 3 times in 4 tries. As this one gets away from the catcher, but the runner's going to stay put. Why not? I'd rather have the RBI. Mick Blevins will bat for the 3rd time. He was added to the bottom of the order earlier in the game. And a bouncing ball back to the mound, and fake the throw to third and go to first. He faked us out a little bit there, and there's 2 down here in the inning. Nice play by Joe. Now Tim McGivern. As we go back to the top of the order for Kansas City, and he has walked and scored, flied to right, grounded to second, and he's singled back in the 5th inning. He bats here in the top half of inning number 7, and his team owns a 20-run lead with 2nd and 3rd and 2 out. Tim may very well be the defensive player of the game. Made that great play down at third base earlier in the game. I have no idea what he was doing, what he was showing the base umpire here. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. And a swing and a foul tip, and Tim will stay alive to see another pitch. Another 1-2 pitch coming up to McGovern. And he slaps one towards the shortstop. He charges. It gets under his glove. The run will score. That'll be an error on the shortstop. No RBI, and it's 22-1. Greg Best has singled twice, a 2-run single in the 1st inning. He has walked, he has flied to left field, and he's done a great job defensively for Kansas City, who bat here in the top of the 7th inning. 2 runs in, up 21. The 1-0 pitch. And a fly ball out in the center field, and this one's over the head. 1 run is going to score. Here comes the runner from 1st to 3rd, and it's 23-1, and Best has done it again. Time he's been on base. He has 3 RBIs, 3 hits, and it extends the Kansas City lead to 23-1 here in the top of the 7th inning. Mark Adams, today's starting pitcher, through 3 innings of shutout baseball. At the plate, a walk in the 1st, a run scored, and he's 0 for 3. So he's looking for his first hit. "26 hits in total now for Kansas City. 23 runs, 26 hits. A ball and 1 strike to Mark Adams, and that one nearly got a piece of him, and it was called a strike.
Everything's a strike.
Well, we truly have a dugout-to-dugout strike zone here tonight. Pitch and a line drive. That is out into right field, and that's going to drop in. It will be a base hit, the first of the night for Adams, and another run is in, and it's 24-1. So Adams gets involved in the 27-hit parade here for the Kansas City Athletics in the 65 and over Cactus Division. Bob Bulgatz, a 2-run single, run scored in the 1st. He was hit by a pitch in the 2nd and scored. He singled again in the 3rd and grounded out 1-3 in the 5th. Done a nice job at first base. Ball and 1 strike. Runners are on the corners. And a line shot, and this is the 28th hit, and it's going to be cut off by the center fielder. That was a tremendous play. Another run is in. That'll make it 25 to 1. RBI hit, or I should say second RBI at bat for Bob, and he's got 3 on the day. Les Gann had a long triple his last time up and came around to score. It's a 5-run 7th, and it's 25-1 Kansas City. Gann has been very productive. Walk, score, single score, reached on an error, and tripled and scored. And he bounces 1 foul third base side. Joe Fiorito, a close-up look at him. And this is going to be a fair ball down to third, and a nice job of taking care of business. A 5-run inning, 7th inning stretch time here at the ballpark. And it's all Kansas City. We'll be back in just a moment. Wide shot at Tempe Diablo Stadium as Chasen comes in and hits a fly ball into right field, and that ball's going to be caught. He goes after the first pitch, and there's one down on a nice catch out there in right field by Hecker. So here's Lyricos. First pitch, ground ball short. Nice play by Dave, and 2 pitches, 2 outs. So Mike Griffin, who will be the winning pitcher in this game, he came in the 4th inning and overall has done a nice job. So with 2 down after 2 pitches and 2 outs, here's John Gardner, the right fielder. 1 ball and no strikes, righty versus righty, and it's inside 1 ball. Well, that's a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
No, it has to do with neuralgia.
Yeah, you said he's got cortisone shots in his ankle.
Yeah, he has a hard time talking.
All Kansas City here in the home half of the 7th inning. 2-1 the count with Mike Griffin out there. Griffin in his 4th inning of work has given up just the 1 run, and it's 2-2 on John Gardner. But 2-2 to John Gardner, and now Mike steps away from that mound or from the pitching rubber and now climbs back aboard. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out with nobody on, and the pitch is strike 3 called, and the side is retired. We're heading to the 8th, 25-1. Kansas City is heading to a 2-1 record in this 2021 World Series. So our final score here tonight from Tempe Diablo Stadium behind some outstanding pitching by the Kansas City A's and explosive hitting, 28 hits, 25 runs. 25-1 is the score as the A's go to 2-1, dropping the Fire to 0-3. The winning pitcher, Mike Griffin in relief, but you got to give some credit to Adams. He started the game. He threw 3 shutout innings to start things off. It was an 11-run top of the 1st inning that really was the difference in the game.